Hey guys, it's Brandon Miniman from Pocketnow.com, and in this video we're going to take a look at the software, performance, and battery life of the Acer Liquid S100. We're touting this as one of the cheaper or less expensive Android devices that you can buy unlocked right now. It's about $100 cheaper than the Google Nexus 1, and it will give you 3G on AT&T in the US. So we're going to talk about those three things in this video so you can help determine if this is a device that you want to get. The first thing that we want to talk about, which is kind of unique to this device, are the system notifications on the top of the device. Pretty cool. So we've got a new email notification, missed call, and over here on the right you can't see it. When you plug in the device to charge, you will get an illumination here. You may be wondering, why would you want to have the notifications on the top of the device and not, say, around the edges here? Well, the way I look at it is if you have the device in your pocket and you want to quickly know if you have an email, you can kind of pull it up so that the top is exposed. See, oh, I have a new email message, and that way you can turn on your device and begin to action on it. So pretty cool. We haven't yet seen something like this on any really mobile device that we've tested, so it's a neat change to see. So let's turn on the device and talk about the home screens and everything else that comes along with that. Let's zoom in on the screen, and we can tap to unlock by doing the menu button over here. And we are already into the Android interface. This is running Android 1.6, so it's not the newest, which is Android 2.1, as found on the Google Nexus 1. The screen, as mentioned, is WVGA resolution, which is the same resolution that you'll find on the Google Nexus 1. It's 800 down and 480 across, which makes for a very crisp and clear picture. You may not be able to tell in the video, but it looks quite nice. It's not using AMOLED screen technology as the Google Nexus 1, but it's a standard backlit LCD TFT display, and it is quite nice to the eye. So let's talk about some of these home screen widgets that you can add to the Acer Liquid that make it a little bit different than the standard Android device that you would get out there. So over here on the left, we have something called a Media Manager, which is quite cool. It has to fit on its own Android screen, and what it allows you to do is filter through your pictures, your music, and it was loading there, and your videos that you have on your storage card. And so from here, we can kind of flick through, see a video that we want to watch, and watch it. There's a little picture of my dog. And likewise, we can go to the music, and we can tap on one of these, and it launches into the Acer Media Player, which is also quite nice. You can hear the music playing. And go backwards, or we can go back to Photos and go into the photo gallery. So here are all the pictures I've taken, and we can flick through. Although the animations aren't as nice as you would get on the Google Nexus 1 or even the iPhone, and we do have accelerometer support, so we can go into landscape and slide to the right and slide to the left. We don't have multi-touch anywhere on the Acer Liquid, unfortunately. We can double tap. That doesn't do it to zoom in, so we have to go down here. So not the most precise controls for zooming in, unfortunately, in pictures, but the Media Manager is nice to have sort of sitting on its own home screen if you do a lot with multimedia. Let's go over to the center, and we just have some standard stuff here, program shortcuts and an analog clock. To the right, we have a really cool way to look at our web bookmarks. So we can actually flick through and see little screen captures of all of my favorites. So here's Pocketnow.com. Tapping on it will bring up the browser. And it's in landscape right now, so I'm going into portrait. And the browser works quite fast. It's not as fast as the Nexus 1, probably because it doesn't have the full 1 GHz Snapdragon processor. But as you can see, it's loading quite fast, and we can zoom out right now. And we can move around on the screen, we can zoom out. Again, lack of multi-touch is kind of annoying, and this is also annoying. You get this kind of magnification glass instead of just being able to move down the page. So a little bit of something to get used to when using the web browser on the Acer Liquid. It does a good job at reflowing the columns, and moving around on a page is generally smooth. And of course, it's got pretty fast screen rotation too if you want to go into landscape. So standard Android browser, just without the multi-touch capability. So let's delete this widget and add a few more. So I'm going to tap and hold, and I'll go to widgets, and we can see what else we have from the selection. Analog clock, calendar, media player, stuff we've seen so far. Media player is kind of unique to this device, like I mentioned, and that fills up its own home screen. We have a special widget for music, and of course it goes right into the Android multimedia player. And let me delete that. Acer really hasn't added that many things. They've added something called the Nemo player, which is essentially what you just saw for the multimedia player, but it looks a little bit nicer. And right now it's going to find the music on the device, and if you tap on the widget, you're taken into the sort of Nemo media player, which again brings together all of your different sort of media. So music, movies or videos, and photos all into one screen. A nice addition from Acer to help you manage your multimedia. So let's trash that. See what else we have in here. Picture frame, standard to Android. Power control, road sync calendar, search, spinlets, which is a built-in social networking system for the Acer Liquid, as if you need another social network. And let's see what we have here. Some other things that I've added, such as TweetDroid and Touchdown Calendar. Web Player is just that list of bookmarks that I showed you a minute ago. And of course, we can also change the wallpapers. This isn't unique to the Liquid. We can swipe to the right and say, okay, we want that one. Looks pretty cool. Set wallpaper. And here we have the new wallpaper. Of course, we can also add shortcuts to do various things. We can direct dial someone, so one-touch access to dial your, the people that you call the most. Quick links to bookmarks and applications and things that we're sort of used to seeing in Android by now. Something that's really, really neat about the Acer Liquid is the task manager that lets you switch applications. Of course, Android lets you multitask, and you can access your recently used programs by tapping and holding the home button. But look what Acer has done. They actually give you full screen previews of the programs that you recently used. So you can see a little thumbnail of Pocketnow.com up here. And if I tap on that, it will reload Pocketnow.com in the browser. If I open a bunch of other applications, you're going to see this in full force. So if I go to TweetDroid and that loads, let's go home. I'm going to open up another application. Let's say camera. There's the camera. And go back home, and let's open one more application. Let's open, just open the settings menu, and we go back home and tap and hold. We'll get a list of all of these different programs that we've opened with a cool little full screen screen capture that allows you to see what you've done recently in that program. A really, really awesome way to multitask on the Acer Liquid. Something that you don't see too much on other Android devices. So let's talk about other things that are included on the Acer Liquid. Something that I kind of have a gripe with is if you look closely at the system notifications up here, they're a little bit pixelated, almost as if they're not optimized for the WVGA screen. They look like they came from a version of Android that went on a lower resolution display. And there are a few places throughout the operating system where you see these pixelated buttons that just don't appear clear. Let's also open the program tray. And here we get the standard Android program tray. And let's look at some of these applications. We have something called Acer Settings, which is a quick way to disable Bluetooth or Wi-Fi, turn on and off GPS, and switch between 2G and 3G. And here's a quick way to access the brightness control. We have alarm clock, a lot of standard Android stuff, calculator, calendar, camcorder. And by the way, I'll play for you in a minute a video taken with the camcorder. Photo quality is quite good. It's not amazing. It's probably as good as the Google Nexus 1, which really doesn't take that good of quality of pictures. Email, Gmail, Google Goggles, a great little application. And really, that's it. We have a YouTube player, which is standard. Let's see how video playback is over the HSDPA connection right now on AT&T. So it is loading and downloading data. Alright, so I'll click on just the first one I see here. And we can go into landscape and watch some video on the nice crisp 3.5-inch display.
It's time for Daddy to make some funny.
Yeah, we got all of this at Walmart. The decorations,
So really what we're dealing with here for the most part is a standard Android install with a few extra programs and widgets. Let's talk a bit about performance, battery life, and call quality. You already saw performance when I was tapping around opening many applications. Performance is very, very good. It's an extremely fast device that shows really no lag when you open up screens. You can multitask really with ease. And although it only has 256 megabytes of RAM, which is about half of what the Nexus 1 does, it does a really good job at multitasking. Let's talk about call quality. Call quality was quite good. It's not as good as a device that you'll get probably right from AT&T, but I was able to hear the party clear, and they were able to hear me clear. The speakerphone was actually quite outstanding, probably better than the Google Nexus 1 with no really distortions, even at loud volumes. And finally, battery life. I'd compare the battery life of the Acer Liquid to the HTC HD2. So with heavy use, you'll get about a day and a half or a day and a quarter without having to recharge the device, which is quite good, and it beats the heck out of the iPhone, which often can't get through an entire day without being recharged. And I think that's in part to the 1350 milliamp hour battery, which is a nice size, and to the slightly underclocked Qualcomm Snapdragon processor, which I think helps to conserve on power just a little bit. So at the end of the day, I think that the Acer Liquid is a really good value. It has great performance, good battery life, and good call quality. The only caveats here is that the build quality isn't nearly as good as the Google Nexus 1, and it's also a lot thicker than the Google Nexus 1, and certainly a lot of other slab devices out there. But at $100 cheaper, perhaps that doesn't matter to you, and perhaps it's really advantageous for you to have AT&T 3G on an unlocked Android device. So again, we recommend the Acer Liquid mostly because it's a good value and the price makes sense for a device of this type. You can get an Acer Liquid of your own by going to clove.co.uk, where they're shipping right now for about $450. That's it for now.